Blog Talk Radio.
Brothers killing brothers, sisters dissing each other. Children they had split siblings now missing each other. From secret societies you removed all the covers. Abused cause some choose to be ID'd by color. Negro and black or claim a fiction on the map. Power is wasted on the idol god crap. Nuisance solutions, following illusions. We are old world orders but we scared of new ones. Some stuck on stupid and being humans. Some hoping Cupid would find her a new man. Sis, it will never be him, only you can. Find the one's nose that won't go like Pinocchio or Toucan. Once you think you can't, you probably won't. Might as well be hanging on a Klansman rope. Might as well jump in the coffin to get shipped up north to Canaanland, hoping someone opened the casket doors. As soon as it opened, they got a cross in your face between two slices of bread, pig marrow paste, sugar down, purple stuff, limbs hurt enough. Not free from slavery, but you doing dirt for hurting cuffs.
For the record, we in the club. We all brothers and sisters, so we in the club. Well, we all members of the Moorish History. We got this going on. And no, that's not what this movement is about. This is a national movement. The nation is out there. The only reason you're here is your job is to go redeem them.
We're branded with needles and ink, not hot metals. They call us blacks like bottom of pots and kettles. Won't and don't change the game cause we think the same. Plus we don't ever put L or Bay on our names. So they assume a jurisdiction, you're retreating. Got inherited land from deeds, that's S cheating. Lower self needs, overweigh higher self wants. Lower thinking, speeds up the color of taunts. My tone is the color of blunt. Some say cold, some say we have no rights. I say we're out of the fold, which constitutes no protections in Bill of Rights sections. Blacks not people, no right to carry weapons. Crooked cops are bonded for public hazards. Use confusion techniques, keep the republic scattered. Pushing democracy under FEMA property. Right knowledge is the youth's food, feed them properly. It's gotta be done for them, not for yourself. Stop stockpiling books you read on your shelf. You want the dead to wake up, but you put a price on info that she can't afford unless she works on a strip pole.
This was supposed to be resolved generations ago. But no one challenged the sellouts, they just talked about them. You get the point? Didn't mean they didn't have their effect. So if you know the truth about your nationality and birthright, you also know the truth about his. You see? So if you know yourself, you can know others.
Islam, peace and love, family. This is Brother Mizraim Alefil, along with my co-host, Cujo Awa'il. Peace and love, brother.
Islam.
Islam.
I'm with you more. Islam, peace and love.
All right, that's peace. First and foremost, before we go on, just want to say thanks to everybody for listening. The chat room is definitely open. And happy New Year's or vernal equinox to everybody all over the universe right now, specifically in the northern hemisphere of planet Earth. It's a beautiful time. We're definitely glad to be here, glad to be alive. Just thankful, man, just so thankful to be here. Tonight we intended to go into, just different aspects of those who may have the misconception of, what being yourself is. Nobody can determine your self-determination for you. But just, knowing that it's the connection to something internal opposed to external that really constitutes like who and what you are. So I know you wanted to go in on that, Cujo. And we definitely will. Islam.
Well, before we even do that, we just wanted to put on the record to give high honors to the elder, Dr. Ben, that passed away today, on the 19th. earlier today. If people didn't know, the elder made his transition. So we want to honor him by quoting from one of his books, since we're talking about Know Thyself, so we can see, if the good doctor was up on his game, because everybody talks about they respect the elders and, honors to the elders and all this stuff, but they really don't usually quote their stuff. So I figured it'll be a good intro today, in honor of the elder, to quote from one of his books that all the so-called black whoever's have on their bookshelf. All the conscious community got on their bookshelf, saying that they honor him and they refuse to deal with the facts that are presented. So we do hope that the listeners spread the message that Dr. Ben was on it. He wasn't some black historian, right? He wasn't some African historian. He was Moorish American. Just so you know, he wasn't only Ethiopian only, right? He had family that's from so-called Puerto Rico, Borican. So he was descendant of the ancient that Noble Drew Ali told us that we're descendants of, right? So we have relative history. He has relative history with regard to the lessons that Noble Drew Ali brought. So what you're going to do, just like when Ivan Van Serma passed away, we told everybody who said that they honor him, make sure you go out and get all his books. Stop fronting like you support our enlightenment as melanated people, and actually show that you honor the elders. So the book that we're going to be reading from to start off the show today is Africa, Mother of Western Civilization. And everybody knows the book. It's the orange book. It says Africa on it, with the continent of Africa on it, with a little gray triangle, right? And we're going to go to page 545. We're going to read a little bit, just so people can get a perspective of what Dr. Ben was on when he was writing, when he was doing his writing. Before he started doing lectures and all that stuff, he had books, right? So make sure you go order the book, because guarantee all these so-called, conscious, whoever they call themselves, going to play around like Moors don't know what we're talking about, right? And they're going to say that they honor Dr. Ben. They're going to say that, every year celebrate him and all that type of stuff. They're going to say, his funeral, run down to wherever to touch his casket and shit like that. But when it comes down to nationality, they don't got nothing to say but diss Moors and keep playing this black, Negro, African, colored game. So we got on page 545, Africa, Mother of Western Civilization. One sec. All right. And this is just an excerpt, so you can go get the book. And from this juncture, 146 BCE onwards, it was all Europeans over Africans until the year 640 CE, when the Arabs from Arabia, called Muslims or Moslems, and other points East Asia invaded and conquered most of North Africa to become the new slave masters and imperialist rulers of the indigenous Africans of North Africa. The Arabs not only turned the tide of European rule in North Africa, but weakened the Europeans to the point where they could join the indigenous African Moors as slave masters over Europeans of the Iberian Peninsula from the year 711 CE until 1485 CE. Yet, just as it was the Moors of African origin who first entered the Iberian Peninsula as conquerors in 711 CE, it was also they who were the last to be forced out by the Spaniards, i.e. the Christians, in 1485 CE from Granada. The expulsion of the African Moors came just 7 short years after Christopher Columbus, and his African Moorish chief navigator and captain of the flagship Santa Maria, Pietro Alonso Nino, a native of Morocco, North Africa, set sail for a shorter route to the Far East and ended up in what is today called the West Indies, but which is really the Caribbean. Now there's a footnote on page 545 that we just want to read as well. Roman European and Numidian African against Carthaginian African, Rome, Nubia, Carthage wars. The first 2 Punic wars were between Rome, Europeans, and Carthage, Africans alone. Western historians continually try to impress everyone that the Moors were an Arab people, carefully forgetting that there were 2 types of Moors. The African Moors, the first to enter the Iberia in 711 CE with Tariq. There were also amalgamated African Asian Moors, the offsprings of African and Asian Muslims. The Asians, originally from Arabia and other areas around the Fertile Crescent, entered Iberia 12 years later. So, let all the casket carriers know that Dr. Ben didn't teach African history. Dr. Ben taught African, Arab, Asian, Moorish history. And he correlated the 3. There was no separation like you hear these clowns talking about the Arabs were the one that did this and the Moors are following Arabs and the Africans are the whatever. And Africans, Asians, and Arabs to Dr. Ben was known as Moors. So if we're going to say that we honor him, as active Moors, we suggest, if you haven't, proclaim your nationality in honor of Dr. Ben, opposed to letting him turn in his grave like Khalid, who told you that you're Moors, but you didn't proclaim anything. El Hajj, who told you that you're Moors, you didn't proclaim anything. Kwame Ture, whose wife wore a fez at their wedding, where, you guys don't honor them. Elijah Muhammad, who had a fez on, you don't honor him. Gaddafi, who was bringing back the gold standard, which is getting rid of the fiat, which is really Moorish customs. But, you don't honor him. But you're going to say that you honor them when the reality of the situation is that, these black-hearted hypocrites are the worst that the planet has ever seen, especially the conscious ones. The same ones that are going around right now talking about they got Nuwapian paperwork. Welcome home. Be Nuwapian. The same ones who's talking about they got Hebrew paperwork now. All of a sudden, they got people out there talking about they're claiming to be Hebrew Israelite, and they got paperwork to back that up. But Moors been telling these people, proclaim their nationality, get your paperwork for 20, 30 years.
Right.
And they're not doing that. So if as soon as you hear these jokers come out talking about, oh, rest in peace, Dr. Ben, and, you know, we love you and whatever, ask them what their nationality is. Ask them if they have the book, Africa, Mother of Western Civilization, by Dr. Joseph Ben-jochannan. Ask them if they read page 545, where he didn't identify these people as Africans. He didn't identify our people as Asiatics or Asians only. He didn't identify our people as Arabs. He identified them as Moors. So I just wanted to put that on the record to start off the show.
Yeah.
Just so that, you know, people can know really what's good. And know that just like Moorish Heritage and History School says, the boat has left the dock. The boat has left the dock. And all these Hebrews, Nation of Islam, Rastafarian, whatever they call themselves, pushing paperwork now to say that they are who they are. Those guys are running a fraud. And if you follow them, guarantee you're going to be swimming with sharks. Because the only boat that you could be on is the Moorish boat. Why? Because just like Dr. Ben told you, even Cristobal Colon had a Moorish navigator to bring him over here. Even who they say is the enemy had enough common sense to bring a Moor with him. Because it takes common sense to say that you're Moor and tie yourself to this illustrious history. We know that common sense isn't that common right now because the world is suffering from mental slavery. But that's why, you know, Noble Drew Ali came, because he's a universal prophet, and he came for the nations. He didn't just come for Moorish Science Temple members only. He came for the nations. Right? What Dr. Ben come to do? He came to teach the nations. Nations recognize him as a historian.